Well, hello everyone. Trucker Todd here, and time for In Case You Missed It. We had a lot happen, as you guys know. I didn't go live last Thursday. I was boarding an airplane, going to, sorry, my phone. As you guys know. Sorry about that. I was boarding a plane last Thursday, and so I did not get to do the In Case You Missed It last week. So as you can imagine, there's 2 weeks of things that's happened and a lot we need to discuss. We're going to give everybody a few more minutes to get here. Let's say hi to some of the people that's here. My good friend Chris is here. Jonah Green. Hey, Cassius King is here. I'm really glad you're here, man. I really want to talk to you soon about possibly coming on the show. I'd like to talk to you about the spot market and rates and stuff like that. So I'm still trying to find a way to contact you so that we can discuss that real soon. So I'm not going to delay too long. We're about a minute and a half in. We've got a really mild or small crowd so far. I don't know. There we go. It's starting to pick up now. Let's talk about the first item of business. I took a lot of notes today because we've got so much to cover. Let me put the fuel surcharge up and make a correction for you guys. On the West Coast fuel surcharge, I had said it was 9 cents, and it was actually 10 cents, and I'll discuss why there was a error there. National average was $4.29 a gallon. Swift fuel surcharge was 50.5 cents a mile, and as I said, the West Coast fuel surcharge was at 10. It did not remain there. It was at 9 the previous week. So how did that error occur? Well, at Swift, we have something they call the portal, which is a website, swiftowner.com, and you have to have login credentials to get in there. And when I went in there, it showed 9 cents. As a matter of fact, I checked it right before coming on air. It still says 9 cents. And so I don't know what's going on, but they did send a Zonar message out that said 10 cents. So rather than putting 10 in the video and being accused of exaggerating things to try to get referrals or something, I took the lower of the two numbers. Now, I could not go to my settlement and see what it was for this week because I did not run a West Coast load this week. So there was no way to do that. But according to Contractors Corner, and they're usually pretty well in the know on these things, they say it's 10 cents. And I do want to correct that. You know, I've said, and that's going to be a running theme of this video tonight. I've said numerous times, if I say something that sounds too good to be true, to verify it with your OOC or with Michelle when you're signing up. Don't take my word for it. I'm just a driver here like you. I'm not a recruiter. I'm not anything else. I'm just a driver giving his opinion. When it's good, I'm telling you it's good. And unfortunately, when it's bad, I'm telling you it's bad. Now, this is generally a positive channel. So more times than not, you're going to hear good. But I'm not going to lie to you or mislead you or anything like that. And here's an example of it. On this fuel surcharge, to the best of my knowledge, I believe the West Coast fuel surcharge to be 10 cents. But because of the discrepancy on the portal, which is where we check our pay and things like that, it's really hard to be sure. Now, let's say hi to a few more people. Hello, Trucker John. My good friend James the Mayor is here. Twisted D is here. Former Lubbock resident. I don't think he lives in Lubbock anymore, but he's also a truck driver over at Prime, and he seems really happy over there. Trucking 411's here. He's listening while he's cleaning his truck. Joe Adams is here. Logic Neo's here. Speed Shifter. Jack's here. My good friend Joe Wentz is here. All right. we've got a lot to cover, so I want to jump into a little more. And of course, I want to take you guys' questions along the way. The load board, let's do a load board update. The meeting happened on Wednesday, so I wasn't able to talk about it in the Tuesday video. So a lot of us, not just me, several of us had trouble logging into it. And so we missed it. I say I missed it. I caught the last 5 minutes of it or so. So because of so many people missing it, Contractors Corner put out a video about the load board meeting and what they said. Now, this is secondhand knowledge. I can't confirm this, but based on what they said that 2 new people had been added to the development team, and that they're trying to clean up the interface, and that they are trying to make it where it goes from refreshing every 30 minutes to maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And they also said that one guy in there, he thought it was a one pick, one drop type situation. And after he booked it, he found out it had 3 stops on it. And they're trying to get more information like that in there, so there's no confusion about that as well. You guys know on Tuesday, we had Trucker CFO on. We got a lot of great information about that. We can sure talk about that. I'm not going to give you tax advice, but I'll be happy to kind of tell you what he said that night as best as I understand it, if there was anything that's unclear. And again, if I say anything that doesn't sound right or you think it's different than what you heard him say, I would encourage you to contact the guys at Trucker CFO and get the information directly from them. You guys also know, I mentioned it briefly earlier, I went to Illinois. I picked up the Volvo. I brought it back. I had a little trouble getting the title switched over because it's a long story, but basically I had insurance for 5 days. And so time was of the essence. I was supposed to leave Tuesday with a load, and I ended up having to cancel that load and stay so that I could get the truck title situated before I had to try to figure out a way to get insurance. It's extremely difficult to get insurance without a DOT number for a commercial vehicle. Now, you may be saying, well, Todd, you have your own insurance now. Yes, I do, but I'm still running under Swift's DOT numbers, and I could not run that Volvo under Swift's DOT numbers because I don't have that truck contracted with Swift. So we can sure talk about that if you want to. Speaking of contracts, I want to get into that as well tonight, but let's say hi to a few more people. 601 Truckers here. It's good to have you, man. Coach is saying hi to Neo. I'm not sure. They got their own discussion going. Nathaniel's saying hi to Coach. But anyway, let's jump into, let's talk about contracts for a second. So last night, Trucker's coach put out a video, and he was a little frustrated, or I'm speaking on his behalf. I don't know if he's frustrated or not. He looked frustrated in the video. And there's been some information that's come out that has upset a lot of people, and I honestly don't feel like it should have. So let's agree on something before we jump into this. First of all contracts are designed to benefit the person that writes the contract. Contracts, nobody writes a contract going, I want to give the other side an advantage. So every contract, whether it's a lease contract at Swift, whether it's a contract with another company, every contract always benefits the author, and that's fine. Okay, let's agree to one more thing before we get started. Whenever you have a loan, the terms and conditions of that loan are generally set by the person making the loan. So, for example, if you make a house loan with a bank, the bank determines over what time period you'll pay that loan back. The bank determines if you can pay it off early, The bank determines if you have an extension available to you. So if your house payment's due on the 15th of the month and you don't get paid till the 20th, the bank determines if it's okay to pay it on the 20th, if there will be a late fee, things like that. So we had some issues come up on the contract a couple of weeks ago, and it was about, could you pay the truck off early and could you finance your balloon payment? And what it said in the contract, and I knew this before this, as I said, based on the examples I gave you, along with reading it, I've read that contract 5 times. I've caught a lot of heck for this on other channels. It's Swift's discretion if you can pay it off early. It's Swift's discretion if they want to not only finance your balloon payment, finance your repairs, give you a cash advance, anything. It's Swift's choice. Now, where I made a mistake in all of this is when I heard the vice president of owner operators, who is a representative of Swift, say that they would finance balloon payments in December. I took that to mean that currently their discretion was they were financing balloon payments and allowing people to pay the truck off early. When Michelle came out on Jason's show and said, we're no longer financing balloon payments, I took that to mean that the discretion had changed. Now, several of you told me, why don't you get a lawyer? And what did I tell you? Does everybody remember what I told you? I said, because they haven't done anything that's in violation of the contract and they haven't done anything illegal. They're exercising their discretion. It's a choice they can make. I said, what I'm going to do is adjust my way of thinking, and I'm going to assume there is no financing of the balloon payment. And I'm going to assume that you can't pay the truck off early. Now, if I win the lottery next week, will I go to Phoenix and ask them if I can pay the truck off early? Sure, I probably will. But at that time, it'll be their choice if I can or not. And based on all this negative publicity, I would bet the answer is going to be no. But Swift didn't do anything wrong. They have a policy that currently is not my favorite, but there's nothing illegal about it, in my opinion. And there's nothing that is unethical about it or anything like that. It's just a policy that I wish was different. Every single one of you watching this video has a policy at your company that you wish was different. None of you are happy with every single thing at your company, whether you're a ditch digger or you're the CEO of a company or you have your own authority. There's things you don't like about your job. I've also said it wasn't enough to quit over. Now, there's people trying to get rid of me. And, when I say that, it's funny. I don't ever mention any names, but they always assume I'm talking about them. And I'll be honest with you. I heard Coach's video last night, and I don't believe, and he said it in the video, we don't talk on the phone. We text occasionally a few times a week. I don't believe he purposefully misled anybody. He might have missed the part in the contract where it talked about discretion, but I don't feel like he lied to anybody. I don't feel like he misled anybody. And he and I both have said in every one of our videos, or not every one of them, that's an exaggeration. In many of our videos, we've said, we are not representatives of Swift. We're just independent contractors here with our own opinion. I've heard both of us say, if you hear something in these videos that sounds too good to be true, that you need to verify it with Michelle, or if you're already here with your OOC. And I stand by that. So many of you, you hear one YouTuber, whether it's me or somebody else, and you take that as gold. And let's be honest, there's YouTubers on here that are just out to make a quick buck. They're snake oil salesmen, and they don't care if you do well or not. They're just trying to make money. I am not a recruiter. I'm a truck driver giving you my opinion. I help guys each and every day that don't list me as their referral. And I don't even ask usually when people call me or email me. I just help them, and then I usually find out later. As a result of that, a lot of people are really, really loyal to me. And I mean, I've had guys call Michelle even after they hired on, and they're like, I want to make sure Todd got his referral. They call me, hey, Todd, my name is so and so. I want to make sure you got your referral. So for that reason, I'm not a referral. I'm just giving you the information. How many of you have heard me say, read your contract? How many of you have seen me get frustrated when guys don't read their contract? Now, I want to talk about another thing real quick, and then we're going to jump right into it. And that is, man, let's see if I can find it real quick. Got a delay on your video. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. We're having a terrible, terrible time here in Lubbock with Verizon and AT&T being down. And I'm actually up in a public facility using public Wi-Fi right now. And so you may see me nod at somebody or wave at somebody. There's a lot of people here that recognize me. And typically when I go off the air, there's even people here that want to talk to me. And so also the lights in here are motion activated. If the lights go off, you may see me get up and go turn the lights back on. But yeah, we're going to do that. I don't know who Neo is either. He's been coming in for a while, and he usually has some pretty good comments. Yeah, anytime there's a loan involved, it's always, think about it. If you loan me $50 and I said, I want to pay you Friday, you might say, no, I want my money Wednesday. Or you might say, don't worry about it, Todd. Just pay me whenever you have the time. Pay me whenever you have the money. You might say, hey, I want it in increments of $5 a week if I loan you this money. You might say, well, if I loan you 40, I want 50 back or something like that. So that's how you should think about this. Don't be frustrated. Don't be mad. Swift is making a business decision. And honestly, it's probably going to depend on the market. If financially they're doing really good at the time, they're probably going to be more willing to do loans than if they're barely making it. And I would say most companies are that way. And I'm not upset about it at all. Mayor thinks Coach needs to keep doing his show the way it was. Yeah, I'm not going to give him any advice on that, but last night he seemed really sad. And, I don't feel like, knowing what I know, and I see a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you guys don't see. I don't feel like he did anything wrong. He feels like he did, or I don't want to speak for him. That's what I felt like watching this video. And I don't feel like he did anything wrong in his responses. He gave some information. Swift changed their policy, and he put out the correct information as soon as he got it. And so that's what we'll say about that. The lights just went out. I think you saw me get dark. I'm going to walk over and turn them on a lot. Christian says I helped him a lot. I appreciate that, Christian. I'll be right back. I'm going to go turn a light on. It'll just take a second. Hey, how are y'all doing? I wish I could show y'all what I'm seeing in here. It's kind of distracting, but it's hard to do when with this laptop. And so let's see what else. Yeah, you know, the deal on that, Jack, there's actually two contracts. Well, there's at least two contracts, more if you go into regional and stuff like that. I'm not sure if the FX contract is different or not, but the recruiters can get that for you. They can get you what's called a dummy contract. I obviously don't want to put mine on here because it has a lot of personal information that I'd have to edit out. I want to say it's like 60 or 62 pages. So it'd be a lot to unpack in a video. I guess what I could do, we may do it next time I'm in town, is I could make a copy of the 60 something pages and black out all the private information and then possibly show it in a recorded video or something like that. But it seems kind of pointless to do when Swift will give you a blank one to read. And you probably should read it. And if you don't understand it, you should probably, have somebody look at it, have somebody explain it to you. When I read mine, I called Michelle twice and got clarification on a couple of things. I know some of you are going to beat me up for that and say that, I should have had a lawyer look at it or something. There's not any real gotcha there. There is a little bit of legalese, but if you just sit there and concentrate for a minute, it's a pretty standard contract. And honestly, it's not a bad contract. And I say that if Swift fired me tomorrow, I'm not going to come on here and say they're a bad company. I do like it here. And so that's what I'll say about that for now. We got a lot to get to in here. Let's see. You at home sure is nice. No, this is not my house. I'm using a virtual background. That's something StreamYard provides. They have one that looks like this and one that looks like I'm sitting in front of a brick wall. They do have the option to download more, and I may download more in the future. But it's just, it's an interesting background, and so that's why I selected this one. Chris from Little Rock, Arkansas, home of the Razorback. I emailed you the other day, looking forward to your phone call. I start March 13th. Yeah, Chris, I'm sorry I didn't get you called back yet. If you're going to be awake after this interview, I will call you typically right after I go off the air. Several people in here talk to me. And then even if I don't have those, I usually get a lot of phone calls. But if you're going to, moderators and stuff will call me. But if you're going to be awake for a little bit tonight, I don't mind calling you tonight. And I'm sorry I didn't get to that today. It was another crazy day. No, I didn't have a lawyer read it, but I did look over it pretty good. I did read it very carefully. It's not my first lease purchase either, and so I'm pretty familiar with how they go. There's a lot of it there that's pure common sense. There's the ICOA, which is the Independent Contractor Operating Agreement. I hope I said that right because somebody will roast me in the comments. But it's basically, there's a contract you have with Swift saying that you're going to lease your equipment to them and work for them. And it talks about, that side of it. And then there's the other side of it, which is the finance side. And it talks about you pay an IEL and conditions where you could take the truck, portability as they call it, port the truck out, or do trip leasing or things like that. And so it takes a little while to get into that. It has options if you want to use their insurance or get your own insurance. And if you want the camera, don't want the camera, which used to be a thing. Now they're requiring you to get the camera, the insurance is. And that's why I've got my own insurance. I want to talk about that too for just a second. And we got a lot more stuff to get to. The insurance I got is through OIDA. And I fully realize that many of you don't like OIDA, and I don't agree with everything on OIDA, but I was trying to find an insurance. And by the way, I don't make a penny commission off of OIDA. I really don't care if you get their insurance or you get somebody else's insurance. If you can find a better deal, I've told you guys, tell me. I was trying to find something that the most people could get and that would save them money. Is there better options? Yeah, I'm sure there is. If I find a better option, I'll get it. But each month I have this insurance, I'm saving about $130 a month. And it's pretty good insurance. Now, other guys have said it doesn't have gap coverage. And for those that don't know, if you owe more on your truck than what the insurance is willing to pay in the event of a total, then gap insurance pays that difference. It's very common in the car market. When I sold cars, I sold a lot of gap coverage. And the problem is that rarely, and I say rarely, somebody's going to come up with an instance. In most cases, trucks don't get totaled. I had a friend that lives right outside of Slidell, Louisiana, was leased onto Swift. I believe his truck was a 2022 International. It caught on fire in California, and it looked like it burnt to the ground. I thought for sure when he sent me the pictures, I said, that truck is totaled. Well, they did the estimate on it. It was $98,000. They did not total the truck. Now, there is no way in the world I'd drive that truck because it's going to have problem after problem after problem. It's got to have smoke damage. I don't see any way you could rebuild that truck. And so, is it possible in a rare instance that gap might benefit you? Sure. Is it possible that you would never use gap? Yes. That's the whole deal about insurance. It's a gamble. It's a gamble for the insurance company. It's a gamble for you. If you plan on being in a wreck where you're going to total your truck, then maybe you want to get that gap coverage at a higher price. But most people, that's not going to be an issue. Also, there's some other things there. That's why I said, don't look at what I do. I mean, check it out, but check out the other options. Do what's best for you and your business, and go from there. And you'll be fine. And I've told you guys, if somebody comes up with something that I think that's better, and I look at everything, then I'm going to definitely switch. I don't have any loyalty to OIDA, but I do have loyalty to my bottom line and making money, and that's what I'm going to do. And now my situation's different. With that Volvo having a $5,000 truck, does anybody think I care about gap insurance? No, I care about being able to replace that truck. So, I'm going to insure it at probably $25,000, $30,000, and I'm going to go on down the road. For the foreseeable future, though, I'm going to stay in that Swift truck. That Volvo is going to take at least 4 weeks to get the title on. And so no company, including Swift, is going to let me lease that truck on, or at least I don't think they will until I get the title in my name. Now, let's see. Let's do a couple more comments before we get back in my list of things that happened this week. I have a master's in public administration, worked as an administrator for Central Arkansas Gastroenterology since 2007, and before that, advisor to Governor Huckabee. Yeah, I think I remember you emailing me something about that. It's really cool that you want to drive the truck with that kind of experience. My friend Mark is here. It's good to have you here, Mark. Now I'm 51, making my dreams come true in trucking, looking for some good advice from you. Well, thanks. I hope I can come up with some. When I call you later, be prepared. I'm going to ask you a lot about Governor Huckabee, because we were talking about him at lunch today, and I just want some inside knowledge on that to kind of satisfy my curiosity. Seems like a really nice guy. Patience is my recruiter, and she has been very helpful. I have not met Patience, but I'm glad you got a good recruiter that you're happy with. And I'm trying to get around and meet all the recruiters, but I don't find myself at the terminals that often. She's been very helpful. That's great to hear. They have some really good ones on the lease purchase side. On the company side, there's, a bunch of them. It's hard to get to know them, but they do have a lot of good ones. What GPS do I use the most? I use a Garmin 800 that was given to me by one of my viewers, and I really, really like it. I think they've got a new model out. I don't know what the new one is, the 810 or whatever, but I do like it. Hello, Matthew Miller. Thank you for coming in. The other thing I want to talk about, and I hope my friend Chris is still here, because I want to talk about the market and trucking in general. Right now, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say things are slow, not at Swift, but everywhere. Now, I still get my miles, but I have to work a lot harder. Oh, good, Chris is still here. I still get my miles. I have to work a lot harder for them than I do normally. And, the thing that I always wonder, and I don't know which company you want to talk about, let's call it ABC Trucking. When they say I don't have any loads, I say, okay, that happens. But when they say I don't have any loads for 7 or 8 months, my question switches to, well, what are you doing about it? And I'll tell you why. If you've got a flat tire on your truck and you call the company, they say, okay, let us know when it fixed. Now, if they call you 12 hours later and you say, I've still got a flat tire, they're going to want to know what you're doing to fix it. There's sales departments at each and every one of these companies that are supposed to be going out and finding freight. And you say, well, Todd, there is no freight in the market. Okay, maybe not. So if there's no freight in the market, what else can we do to keep these trucks moving, to keep them making money? Can we maybe move some trailers to some new customers or to some areas where there's not any empty trailers? Do we have some trailers that need to be picked up at shops? Things like that. Do we have some trailers we've sold that maybe we need to deliver somewhere? I did that for DART one time. I delivered 12 trailers that they had sold, some of their older trailers. And so what I'm saying is I share you guys' frustration. I hate to see anybody struggle. I hate to see anybody have a hard time. But, I don't know what the answer is. You guys know that every company is wrestling with this right now. And I'm skeptical of any guy that comes on here or that you meet at a truck stop that says he's got all the freight he wants. He's running 4,000 miles a week. He's making more money than he's ever made in his life, because I don't see it right now. And let's see, what else have we got here? I saw some more comments and they've disappeared. See if I can find them real quick. Well, I don't know where the comment went. If you guys see a comment I missed, put it back up and we'll hit it. I'm looking through again trying to find it, and I don't see it. So we'll keep going. So another thing, and I saw it a minute ago. I don't know where it went. Oh, there it is. Let me see. Maybe one of the moderators took it out. I really want to get to this. I wasn't going to, but we need to. Yeah, so it's not showing it on my screen. I guess somebody took it out, but it says it's from Bob the Builder. It says, I just picked up my load and about to start driving. Can you please talk about the contractor corner video last night? So actually, it's funny, and I'm going to talk about it, but I want to say this. Last night or yesterday afternoon until 3:40 in the afternoon, I went back and looked. I was actually texting with Charlie from Contractors Corner, and I'll be honest, it wasn't a real nice text. We got to Walmart, and I went into Walmart, and I started shopping, and I guess he went live. Now, normally he goes live at 5 on Tuesdays, and for some reason he did a live yesterday at 4 p.m. my time, 5 p.m. his time. And I'm going to talk about what he said, and but before I do, I want to talk about what Bob said. We've got some people in here that are really, really supportive of the channel, and I appreciate that. And it seemed like Bob was more down the middle. He was asking Charlie some tough questions, but at the same time, he said it was immature, that we weren't working this out. And, Charlie said there was nothing to work out, and I tend to agree with him, and we're going to get into that. But before we do, I want to talk about what Bob the Builder said. And I want to encourage any of y'all that if you are terrorizing any other YouTube, please don't do it on my behalf. This is a positive channel, and I want to keep things positive. So please don't troll any other YouTubers. Don't go after Charlie. He and I have a difference of opinion, but that's what I want to say about that. Now, Bob the Builder, and I took notes as I told you guys of what was said that I didn't really care for. First of all, Bob the Builder called Swift a crappy company, and I don't believe Swift's a crappy company. Even now, I don't think you can find the video since I've worked here where I've called them a crappy company. And he asked if Charlie had been discharged from the military during Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And I'm uncomfortable anytime we disrespect our military. And so I would ask that let's not go there. Now, the insinuation was a gay joke or something. Maybe he meant to be funny. I'm pretty sure that I know who Bob the Builder is, and I'm going to contact him and see if it's him. And if it is, I'm going to ask him to apologize to Charlie. And I don't know if he will. He may tell me to go fly a kite, but I don't feel that's appropriate. Now, there is a little bit of conflict there, and I think we ought to talk about how we got here. And this is the perfect show to do it because it's called In Case You Missed It. So in the beginning, Charlie and Jeff were really nice to me. They actually taught me a lot and were very helpful. I even appeared on their show. I don't remember if it was once or twice. I mentioned them in several of my videos. Go check them out and things like that. I was really trying to help them. I want to say they were somewhere around 200, 250 subscribers when I met them. They have a private Facebook group, and I was a part of that, and I was pretty active in there. I put a lot of comments in there, and it was going good. Well, last night when I went into Walmart, Charlie decided to do a 1 hour and 50-minute video, and unbeknownst to me, because I had gone in the store, like I said, we just finished texting 20 minutes earlier. Had he told me that he was doing that video, I'd have went in there and watched it. I was subscribed to him today. I unsubscribed from him. I won't be responding to him or any of his videos after this. This is going to be my one and only rebuttal to what they've said. I made sure we were friends on Facebook. I took his friendship away. We're not friends on Facebook no more. I really, really don't want to hear any more about him after this. Now, due to the constraints of time, when I got home, put the groceries up, people started contacting me. Hey, you need to check out Contractor's Corner. So a lot of times what I'll do, because there's so much going on, I'll change the playback speed of a video and I'll watch it at 1.5 times or 2 times so I can get through it a lot faster. And so that's what I did with his video. It's nothing insulting to him. I do that to my own videos. Some of you asked me questions about videos I did 2 or 3 years ago. Obviously, I don't remember what you're talking about in those videos, so I'll go back and watch it in double time and refresh my memory on what I said. And so I went in there and watched it, and the whole show was basically devoted to me. And so at the end of it, well, even while I was in about the middle of it, I called a good friend of mine that gives me a lot of advice. He's in here tonight. And I said, hey, check this out and tell me what you think about it. And he was blown away like I was. So today, this afternoon, at approximately 2:30, I rewatched it and I took these notes because I had a feeling it was going to come up. And so that's why if I've got something wrong here, it's because I watched it in double time, but I want to be fair to them as much as I can. So one of the things Charlie said in his video is he's not a YouTuber. And I find that funny because anybody that makes videos on YouTube is a YouTuber by definition. Now, I guess by saying he doesn't think he's a YouTuber, maybe that elevates him. Maybe that makes him better than everybody else. I don't know. But if you're on YouTube, if you're making videos on YouTube, by definition, that makes you a YouTuber. He also said that stats are not important. It doesn't matter how many viewers you have. It doesn't matter how many subscribers you have. And I remember feeling that way. When I had 2,500 subscribers, a lot of other YouTubers would put me down. Oh, you're nothing. You only got 2,500 subscribers. So I get where he's coming from. However, everybody's on here for views. I don't care what they say. Nobody starts a YouTube channel saying, I hope 3 people will watch me. Nobody does. And he said Swift don't care about the numbers either. And I found that ironically funny because if you go to that same portal that I was mentioning earlier in the video, there's an article there where Swift is bragging about having almost 3,000 followers on Facebook. Also, if numbers don't matter, why did not Swift do an interview with Mother Trucker? Do you think they did it just because he was the only one that contacted him and showed interest in wanting to do it? Or do you think they did it because of his large following? In the weeks prior to that, he had been kind of critical of Night Swift. Now, in his interview, I thought he was really fair to him. But yeah, numbers do matter whether we want them to matter or not. And so I don't get it. In the beginning, I would have liked it if we could have worked together because I think originally they were offering a really good product that could help a lot of people. And I think our channels could have complemented each other and worked good together. Now, we got to talk about how we got here, though. And, the one thing I want to say is some people are different on air than they are in person. Now, where this all broke up, and I think they would agree with me, is I found out before they did about Swift requiring cameras if you use their insurance. And it upset them that I scooped them on the story. And it was by pure accident that I found out. As a matter of fact, one of them said that I should have contacted him and told him about it before I ran the story. Now, do you not think he would have made made a video about it had I done that? And so at no point in time did I ever say that I wasn't open to other insurances. I said, this is what I'm going to use now. If something better comes along, we can always change. I have not had a chance to look at their insurance yet, but it's through the same people that we have our fuel card with. And so it would be very convenient for me. And it is something I'll look at and see if it works for my business model. But that's where this all started, right there. And it resulted in them kicking me out of the Facebook group. Now, they would tell you, and they've said it publicly, you can ask them, that someone at Swift told them to kick me out of the Facebook group. Well, they'll also tell you in the same sentence that they never discussed me with Swift. So I'm not sure how you could never discuss me with Swift, but somehow Swift told you not to allow me in the Facebook group. And I really don't even know why Swift would care if I was in the Facebook group. But that's something that they've said. Now, another thing, they say that they didn't try to get my insurance canceled in this video. And I encourage you to go back and watch it. Then 30 seconds later, he goes and says, well, then I walked in Brett's office, which is the vice president of owner operators. And I asked him if it was okay for Todd to have OIDA insurance because Swift and OIDA used to have an issue. So one point he's saying he never discussed my insurance with Swift. And then the next point he's saying, yeah, I did to see if it's legal to have now because it used to not be legal. And you can bet, now we have no way of proving this, that he was hoping that they'd say, oh, no, that's not legal. Todd's insurance is going to get thrown out. But everything I had done my due diligence. Everything was good. And as I told you guys, I'll still look at their insurance. If I see that it has merit, and I switch, I'll come on here and tell you guys, go get Contractors Corner insurance. They made a big to-do about my fuel card. My fuel card is the same one that they have. No difference. If that bothers you, you're welcome to use their referral code to get the fuel card from them. It doesn't. You're going to get the same savings, the same discount. It doesn't matter to me either way. I'm on here trying to help people. Now, another thing, this Bob the Builder asked him, because they brag about their current insurance having gap insurance. And I explained earlier in the video what gap is. If you missed it, you can go back and check that out. But they mentioned that Bob the Builder asked them if they had gap when they had Swift insurance. And he was kind of foggy about it. And basically, the way I understood it, it sounded like he said that Swift just kind of wipes it out. It's not really gap, but whatever doesn't get covered, Swift just kind of wipes it out. He was really unclear on it. And for those of you that want to see that in the video, it's at about the 37-minute mark. And he talks about it for about 30 minutes. And what becomes really, really clear in this is that he didn't read his contract. And he admits that in there. He said he read sections of it, but he didn't read the entire thing. At one point, he says it's 416 pages. Now, Bob the Builder asks him, did you take it to a lawyer? He says, no, I didn't take it to a lawyer. I had my insurance guy read it. Okay, so then Bob the Builder asks him, well, after your insurance guy read it, were you still foggy about it? He said, yeah, there's a lot of gray areas and stuff I don't understand. So if I took a medical document to a doctor and he didn't understand it, how confident would I be in that doctor? And same thing, if I take an insurance document to an insurance guy and he doesn't understand it or he's not clear on it, how confident would I be in that guy? And so for that reason, I I'm a little skeptical. I'd want to check this insurance out, but you got to keep in mind, these are the guys, some of you has experienced. Every time you ask any question about the contract, they're like, read the contract, read the contract, read the contract. But when it came to their own Swift insurance, they didn't read the contract. And don't take my word for it. Go watch his video last night, and it'll help him out. He needs the views, and see for yourself. But it's very obvious. Now, another thing he says is that he puts his stuff on the glass. He backs his numbers up, things like that. Has any of you seen him put a settlement up that you could see? And I mean his numbers. He runs super solo with his wife. They kind of are a light team. They don't do full team miles. So run his numbers. Let's see what his numbers are. If he's so proud of his numbers and how he runs his business, where's his settlements? I put my first 4 up when I came to Swift, and they weren't even anywhere close to what I do now. Why won't he do that? And so that's what I want to say about that. And I'm sorry we had to go negative for a minute, but I really believe this is the last time it's going to happen. I really don't care what he's got to say about this. He's right about one thing. There is nothing to work out. I agree with that. The first step to doing that would have been put me back in the Facebook group, and that way I could help you drivers, because there's a lot of good information in there about traffic, about weather, things like that. And he says that he don't want me in it because I don't give him credit. Well, it's not his content. It's other drivers leaving information in there, and they may or may not want their name in a YouTube video. Speaking of that, I mentioned at the start of the show that the fuel surcharge information that was on the portal, and Charlie, I know you're watching, go check that out, says 9 cents. And Swift still hasn't corrected that. If you guys see that I'm putting out bad information and you have the correct information, why don't you email it to me? Why don't you call me? Why don't you text me? Heck, you're in a video call with me once a week. Why don't you give me that information? You claim you're fielding all these calls, and I agree with Bob the Builder about this. You claim you're fielding all these calls because I'm just putting out so much bad information. Put it on the glass. Who's calling you? I want to see it. Those are your words, not mine. You said you put it on the glass. Put it on the glass. Who's calling you, Charlie? How many people are you helping on my behalf? So anyway, that's all I want to say about that. I hope I cleared up a lot of things for you, but we're going to move on to some questions, and hopefully the rest of the show will be a lot more upbeat. Okay, so here's a good question. How do you deal with idle time in the summer? Obviously, if you can run in the daytime and sleep at night, you're going to have to idle less because it's cooler at night. Use your OptiIdle or your APU or whatever you got. It's still going to idle a lot. Get you a good fan. A good fan. A lot of times you just need to circulate the air, but sometimes there's no way around having to idle your truck. And an APU, I was always taught, uses a gallon about every 8 hours. And that may have changed, but that was the numbers I was given. And trucks usually have a digital display that'll say, depending on the model of truck, but it's usually around a half gallon to a gallon an hour. OptiIdle will cut that down, and trucks are insulated better than they used to be. But, if you're at a place that's got some shade, try to park under the shade. Just do everything you can. Even if you can reduce your idling an hour a day, that'd save you $4 a day, let's say. It's $120 a month. So it's obviously there's not an end-all be-all solution, but just do what you can where you can. Yeah, I would agree. In the deep south, now humidity is a totally different deal. I don't like laying in my own sweat. So if you're in the southeast, Mississippi, Alabama, southern Texas, you're probably going to have to idle, and that's just the way it is. And it can still be uncomfortable when you're under an air conditioner. We have times in Texas when it gets 110, and even in an air conditioner, it's still not a comfortable environment. Let's see. We're on tornado watch here in DFW. Yeah, I probably ought to talk about that too. So I was at the Love's with that Volvo. I was going to get the oil changed, and by the way, be careful there, Ocho Mingo. The the Love's manager came on their radio and said, "We have a tornado warning." The sand was blowing. A trash can hit one of the workers in the head, and they wouldn't let me leave the shop at first. They said, "Stay in here." They said, "If it gets bad, we're going to get in the oil pit." I said, "Okay." So we're sitting there, and I start looking on my phone. I never saw a tornado watch, but by that point, I had already put the 1 minute video up. Somebody corrected me, said it's not a watch. So I went back, changed it to a warning. I looked the next day. I didn't even see where it was a warning. I saw there was a wind advisory. So I went back and changed it again. I caught a lot of havoc over that, and it's undeserved. That video was great for people to see. There's a lot of you that's never been to West Texas. You've never experienced a Texas dust storm. And so it was interesting to a lot of people. And for several days, it was my #1 video in the last 8 days. And so that's what I'll say about that. It wasn't to get clicks. It wasn't to get drama. It was just, I thought you guys would find it interesting. You give them way more credit than they deserve. They are irrelevant. Maybe I'll say this for them. They've got a loyal following, as do I. And I really think it's childish. Like I said, if they know that I've put out some bad information or something that's wrong, they've got my phone number. They've got my email. They know how to reach me. Heck, from what I understand, they even have my home address and my social security number and my driver's license number. Why don't they just contact me directly? Then they wouldn't have all these phone calls that they're complaining about. I could go on there, make a correction video, and I'd give them credit. I'd say, "Hey, I was wrong about this. Contractor's Corner corrected me. Here's the correct information." But let's be honest. They say they don't care about clicks, but when they do it this way, when they spend their whole video talking about me, it gets some views because up until now, even me, I was watching to see what they're going to say about me. But that ends tonight. I'm not watching no more. I'm not going to participate. And the way we get rid of this situation is we just ignore them. I would encourage everybody to just unsubscribe from them. And I know it's a hassle to do, but if you really want to see this drama stop, that's the way to do it. Just don't give them any credibility. And don't pay any attention to them. Let them spread their hate and discontent about me. And we'll see how it works out for them. The mayor agrees with Chris. Chris is headed through there now. Thanks for the heads up. Yeah, just be careful, everybody. If there's really 80-mile-per-hour winds, nobody should be driving. It'll blow your truck over, even with 45,000 pounds. And he says it ends at 6:30, which is in about 30 minutes. Just park it. Visibility is really bad from the wind, 50-mile-per-hour wind at the 206 on 20. Man, I hate to hear when you guys are driving and stuff like that. Just be careful out there. Westbrook. Yeah, I used to live in Colorado City, Texas, so that's pretty cool you're in Westbrook. Used to be a really good hamburger place there, and it's not there anymore, but Just be careful. It's better to park for 30 minutes or an hour than it is to blow over and break some bones or possibly end your life or end somebody else's life. Be careful out there. So here's an actually pretty good question. Why are mega carriers still hiring if there's no freight? Basically, what a mega carrier sells is capacity. And they go to these shippers and they say, we've got X number of trucks. We can move all your freight. We can do it conveniently, and we can provide drop and hook services, things like that. So that's their deal. So they've got to have a lot of trucks. Now, what's happened, the way the market analysts have explained it that I've seen, is that warehouses got stocked up during COVID. And you might remember we had a little boom there where we were all running good, rates were good, and they've been kind of resting on their laurels, enjoying the freight in their warehouses. Well, the freight is starting to get back down to where they're going to need trucks again. And these trucking companies don't want to be caught with their pants down when freight comes back. So they want to have a lot of trucks ready to go for when freight comes back. Now, this is why I tell you guys, make sure you've got $5,000 to $10,000 signed up before you do a lease, is because there's going to be slowdowns in the markets. And I wish that Cassius King was here right now, because he's a lot better about talking about this than I am. But markets go through cycles, and he was talking about it the other day, like 3 and 4 year cycles. And he said it's a little off because of COVID, but that's where we're at right now. They don't want to take your big distribution center, calling them and saying we need 200 trucks, and them not have 200 drivers available. Now it's just can all these drivers hang on till it gets better? And it might be possible if we knew when it was going to get better. But nobody knows when it's going to get better. And anybody that does is just guessing, including myself. I've been saying that I think the first part or mid part of March, I think it's going to get better. But that's pure speculation and guess on my part. So the truck I currently have with Swift is a 2022 Freightliner Cascadia. It does have the Detroit engine in it at 455 horsepower. The Volvo is a 2008. It has an ISX Cummins in it at 400 horsepower, but it honestly feels more powerful than my Swift at 455. So I believe it's had some work done to it. But I like both trucks for different reasons. People are taking advice of others about getting a CDL at a mega carrier, then get 3 months and leave. Yeah, I think 3 months is a little premature. I've always been told and always been taught that you want to get a year. Even if you're at a terrible company, you want to get a year in so that you can move on to greener pastures. And I think that's still pretty true. I get you. I really do. Going to start driving in June. Stay in touch with me and let me know how it goes. Oh, you're okay. I'm just glad you're here, 601. Yeah, so I actually made a video. It's called How to Get My Exact Insurance. You'd want to contact OIDA, and all you do is Google OOIDA, and it'll give you an 800 number, and ask for Linda Young. And if you're at Swift, you don't even have to do that. But if you're at Swift, ask for Linda Young and tell her you want what Trucker Todd has. If Linda Young's unavailable and you get somebody else, mention my name, and what they'll do is make sure you get something that is compliant with what Swift's requirements are. And if you say my name and Linda Young, then if they don't know, if they're not familiar with me, then they'll know to go ask her, and she'll make sure you get everything you need. As I said, I'm not getting any commission off of it. So if you don't want to mention me, that's fine, but you may end up buying a policy that doesn't meet Swift's requirements. You're going to need to look at your contract and know the stipulated loss value for your truck on the week that you're wanting to start your insurance. That's going to be one of the things you want. And you're going to have to send it to Transtar, and they're going to have to approve it. So it's a little bit of a process. It's not something you can do in 15 minutes, but it is something that anybody could do. And it's not near as complicated as what a lot of guys are making it out to be. Most of the legwork's already been done. It's not a good idea for me to mention Swift's customers on here, but it's pretty much any of the big name distribution centers and retailers that you might think of. And probably some of the big names that come to mind, and some of it's regional, but it's probably not a good idea for me to mention their contracts on here like that. I know in certain parts of the country they have Walmart dedicated, they have Target dedicated, they have Costco. There's a little bit of everything. They're the largest carrier, well, depending on if you count UPS or not, in the country. And so they've got a lot of freight, and pretty much all your big companies you can think of, they've got something going on with them, and some of the smaller companies as well. Christian says, if I decide to come to A&A, I'd appreciate the referral. Absolutely, Christian. If I go to A&A, I'll put you as the referral. A&A is not a bad deal. They used to be part of Roadrunner when I worked at Roadrunner, and they split off, and they're not a bad outfit, I don't think. I haven't fully researched them, but they don't seem terrible. Have 1 year experience and make 60 cents a mile with Warner. I've been home more weekends than not. I want to be more independent. Is this obtainable with Swift as an IC running out of South Memphis? The truth is maybe. It's, nobody should start a business saying, how often can I be closed? And when you go home on a regular basis, every weekend, something like that. Now, I want to be clear, Swift will let you go home as much as you want and stay as long as you want, but you've got those payments coming due, and you better be able to pay them. And I've been home almost 2 weeks. Friday will be something like 12 days because I flew to Illinois and all of that. And Swift has not said a word to me about it, but I've never been in the hole. So the more you go home, the more it's going to affect your income. And with this market and the way things are, sometimes it's going to be easier to get home than others. If you live in that part of the country, I would talk to them about some dedicated accounts. I'm not sure in southern Mississippi, but I would think maybe there's some paper accounts or something like that you might be able to get on to. But I would run it by Michelle and see what's available in your area. 2 to 3K per week in the bank. Yeah, exactly. That's possible, but we need to put that disclaimer out there. Chris is a hard worker. He's not a twiddle your thumbs, chase the waitress around the truck stop type. He's out here working. And a lot of people, they want a turnkey business where they make this great money, but they don't want to put in the effort to educate themselves and learn, and the elbow grease to work and do what it takes to make it. It's not easy. And YouTube's not easy. YouTube is a grind. I think y'all saw that last night on Coach's video. It wears on you. The phone rings constantly, coming up with video ideas, the editing, helping people that don't take your advice, and then they're mad at you. And it's a grind. You have to have a desire in your heart to really want to help people, or it's just not worth it. Well, like I was telling you, it'll be up to you. They'll let you go home whenever you want to. It's I would like to see you say 2 to 3 weeks at a time, but uh, it's an over the road position unless you can get on a dedicated deal. Nobody's going to stop you if you say you want to go home, but where you're going to run into grief is if you can't make those truck payments. And just I'd rather tell you to work more and then you find it's better than what I tell you than I had tell you, oh, you can be home twice a week. And then you find that's not realistic for your financial needs. Yeah, then ask about dedicated opportunities. And if there's nothing like that, then perhaps you need to see if maybe there's another local job in your area that does more what you're wanting to do. And Chris is agreeing with me. You can go home when you want, as long as you want, but it'll affect your pay if you go home. 2 if you go home, 3 if you stay out. Yeah, exactly. I get what you're saying. And sometimes it'll be less than that. I've had some $600 checks where I went home for an extended period of time. I've had 2 weeks where I was in the hole, but both times it was because I had a load that I was supposed to T-call that would have got me on that week's pay period, and we ended up going ahead and delivering it, and it carried over to the next week. It's never been because I couldn't run my truck or I couldn't make money or nothing like that. Yeah, I agree. I'm starting to lean that way that he might be better off to stay company and find a company that pays better. Or his company, he may can negotiate a better pay rate, get up around 70 or 75 because everybody's needing drivers so bad right now. Yeah, exactly. And they actually did for me when I picked my truck up, they gave me a little bag that had a headlight in it. It had an extra wiper blade. It had glad hand seals. It had fuses. It was kind of like a little goodie bag that had all kinds of stuff in it. And I was really surprised by that. But that's a big help. And I've already used some of that stuff on occasion. And so, yeah, anything you can do yourself is going to speed things up. Now, I also want to mention, I brought it up earlier in the show. I've got Trucker CFO's 800 number there, along with their website. You guys hit them up if you've got tax questions. They've been great for me. And then after you talk to them, get back with me and let me know how it's going for you, what your thoughts about them were. Also, I mentioned earlier that I'm thinking about going to Matt's on March 30th. I'm talking with some companies about maybe appearing at their booths or something like that. And I got a friend that's going to be up there talking about hanging out with him and a couple of his friends up there. If any of you are going to Matt's in Louisville at the end of March, let me know. If any of you would like to see me there, let me know. If you don't want to put it in here, that's fine. Email me and tell me. I'm trying to gauge how much interest there'd be in me going there, and then I'll decide if I want to do it or not. Originally, I was planning to go to Greer and spend a few days there and meet everybody, but because of all that's going on right now, I really don't want to go to Greer right now. All right, we're at a minute or an hour and 14 minutes. Has anybody else got anything they want to throw out there before we call it a night? I'm leaving in the morning, so I got to go start packing and loading the truck and getting ready for tomorrow. But I don't want to neglect anybody. If anybody's got anything else, throw it up and we'll get to it real quick. I'm going to give it about another. We'll go to an hour and 20. We'll give it another 5 minutes. If anybody's got anything else they'd like me to talk about tonight. Also, some of you guys that were in that Texas tornado warning, is the weather starting to let up a little? I know the warning's going on for another 15 minutes. Does it look like it's starting to get better over there if you're still here? We've been doing some marathon lives lately, and I'm trying to shorten them. Ideally, I'd like them to be about an hour long, but it's really hard to do that. So there was a lot of other YouTubers on tonight. We didn't have a huge turnout here, but it's okay. A lot of you guys watching the replay, and I appreciate you guys just the same. Typically 24 hours later, we have, 500 or 600 views. And so anyway, so Chris came on and said it is not getting better. Oh boy, Joe coming in with a good question. Honestly, that's tough. I think it's probably going to happen at some point because I've got a truck sitting here with no truck payment. And so it's probably coming at some point, but who knows when. Just like I'm telling the guys in here, I want to have a very good nest egg before I take off in that truck, so that if I do have a mechanical breakdown, it doesn't put me out of business. But it doesn't necessarily mean I'm leaving Swift. I could lease that truck right back onto Swift. It's already been approved, and so if we continue to have some of this behind the scenes stuff go on, then it might be worth it. But hopefully it's all going to die down, because I'm gonna choose not to participate. I'm going to, like I said, I've already got off those groups, unsubscribed, and I've already deleted them off of Facebook. And so I'm going to go back to doing what I do, which is positive videos and trying to see how many people I can help. But at some point it's going to make sense to turn that truck in. And that might be in a few weeks, and that might be 3 or 4 years from now at the end of the lease. And I might still pay it off. There's really no set plan. When I put that Volvo in the shop and get the few little things fixed that I know about, if it turns into be a bigger deal, obviously that'll delay things. If the mechanic goes, no, it's a great truck, that might speed things up. But I really do like it here. And if I left Swift tomorrow, I still wouldn't badmouth them. And you'll see, nothing lasts forever. And at some point I will leave here. You can go back and watch my first videos at Swift. And I said back then, I'm not saying that I'll be here for 30 years. I'm saying right now it's a good decision based on the market. And I still feel that way. Let's see what the market does in the coming months and in the coming weeks. Let's see how the Volvo checks out, and then let's make an informed decision. I hope I answered that. It was a little long-winded, and I'm sorry about that, Joe. You know how I get sometimes. Looks like a forest fire. Man, I can't believe you're driving in this, Chris. You be careful. Pre-trip. Yeah, and I had this debate with people before. They say, well, I get the point of a pre-trip, but what's the point of a post-trip? Because you're going to check it again the next morning. I said, yeah, but if you know about that problem the night before, you've got time to address it before you do your pre-trip. So if I've got a missing Mudflap and I know about it the night before, I can address it that night, or I can know about it the next morning and be ready for it. Or if I've got a flat tire, I can call On-Road and they can get a mechanic out. I had one time, and this was at Dart, I had a flat on a trailer or a blowout. I went to bed, and when I woke up, they had it fixed, and I went on down the road. It didn't slow me down at all. And so as equally important as a pre-trip is the post-trip. And, man, you'd be shocked. Well, maybe you wouldn't be shocked. If you're at a truck stop and look around, Almost nobody does one. They just wake up, hop in the seat, and go. And I do one because being a YouTuber and being a Swift driver, people are just dying to see me make a mistake and fall on my face. So I do a good walk around because I've had people pull my fifth wheel and I catch it. I had a guy undo my mud flap and I caught it. Now I carry spare nuts and bolts for my mud flap just for that reason. I've had people unhook my airlines. And so all of those things would have been bad situations had I not did a good walk around. Fair enough, my friend. Yes, sir. And I hadn't got to see your latest video, but I'm going to check that out too. Maybe tomorrow, though. So after graduating CDL school, would you recommend company, lease, or owner-operator? Company for the first 5 years, and nobody listens to me about that. But there's a lot of stuff that you're going to learn your first 5 years about freight lanes, about buying fuel, about things like that. You need to have several winters under your belt. So I would say 5 years. Now, there's companies that'll do it much sooner, but you want to really be prepared. And Swift will let you do it after 9 months, but in my opinion, nobody's ready after 9 months. And there might be an exception to the rule, but for the most part, there's not. Company. Yeah, I agree with Chris on that. And be leery of any trucking company that's pressuring you while you're in school to do a lease. You're going to have your hands full learning how to drive the truck. You don't want to add all the bookkeeping and all the other stuff that goes in with it while you're trying to learn how to drive the truck. So, anything else before we call this quits? We're back down to 29. So, like I said, I'm not worried. By this time tomorrow, we'll be at about 500 or 600. And I appreciate each and every one of you coming in here tonight. But I wasn't planning on this and being a real long one anyway, because I got to pack and get ready to go. For those that missed it, I'm going to North Carolina tomorrow morning. And Jack says, Chris says he's 51, 5 years. Then you're probably ready. If the other thing I'd suggest is have $5,000 or $10,000 in savings or credit that you can access for an emergency, and then take your shot. There's lots of people willing to offer you advice. It's a lot easier now than it was when I first started, when we didn't have YouTube and the internet and all the things we got now. But if you're willing to take the gamble, take a shot, see what happens. You'll never know till you try. Take care, be safe. Got to roll. Rolling equals money. Yeah, me too. It's about to cut out. Chris, your maturity and business knowledge would probably slow you down. Do a year as a company. Well, now he's saying he's been a company driver for 5 years. So if that's the case, he's probably at that point where he could take a shot at it. I think a lot of people jump into it before they should. Chris says allow. I may have missed something. You too, man. Y'all have a great night. All right, it looks like it's wound down. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. A lot of you are in bad weather, and I want you to concentrate and be careful. So I believe Bob the Builder is a guy that's been messaging me for a while, wanting me to find out about the flatbed division at Swift. I believe he's been with me for a while, from back even before I had a live, and I believe that's who he is. It sounds like he's a little disgruntled right now. I don't believe he currently works for Swift, but I do believe that he's a flatbed driver, especially with a name like Bob the Builder. I could be completely wrong. I've never seen him in my videos before tonight. He left one comment. It showed it on one of my phones, but it didn't show it up on StreamYard. So I don't know if one of my moderators blocked him, but I saw it out of the corner of my eye on the phone that I used to moderate the channel. No, not me. I'm 51. Okay, I misread Chris's comment. He's never been a company driver. Then definitely try to get 5 years in first before you do it. At least a couple, but 5, I'd feel a lot better about recommending it for you. Good night, all, says Chris. So earlier we were talking about Charlie on Contractor's Corner. He was pretty upset. It was kind of a weird situation. I've never seen anything like it on his show before. But he asked some good questions, but there was a few questions he asked that went over the line. Like I said, I'm pretty sure he's a flatbed driver, and that kind of narrows it down for me. I am going to reach out to him after the show and ask him to apologize to Charlie. I don't know if that'll happen. I don't control any of you guys, and but that's how that goes. Yeah, if you can't do it, you can't do it. Maybe you do it after 2 years or do it after a year. The longer you can wait, the better you're going to be at it. It's like getting married for the first time. When you're the longer you date somebody before you get married, the better you know them. Now, having said that, I knew a guy that lived in La Mesa, Texas, that he married the girl on the very first date they went out, and they were together 45 years last time I talked to him. So there's exceptions to every rule. And if you grew up in a trucking background or something like that, you might be ready a lot sooner than at 5 years. But just be a sponge and learn as much as you can. Soak up as much trucking information as you can, honestly, from several sources. And hopefully you'll do great. I really want everybody in here to succeed. Not heard of Contractor's Corner. So it's a couple of guys that I believe are Swift sponsored, and they have a channel of about 700 subscribers, and they do a lot of consultants type stuff. One of them on there, Jeff, is really good with economics and things like that. And I want to talk about that real quick too. At one time, we were getting along pretty well together. And so I'm getting old and I'm tired, so I may forget what I was going to talk about. But let's see. Christian says his has 850. There's a lot of people, including myself, that believes they're the Swift sponsored channel. If you call the office, they will encourage you to listen to Contractor's Corner, even though their channel is much smaller. I mean, like I said, they've got 700. I'm at almost 5,000. I'm at least 7 times bigger than them. And they both have been with Swift a long time. That may be why they recommend them. And like I say, at one point, I thought we were friends. They did a video and said they barely knew me. Yet I was interviewed on their channel and all of that. But it really, I don't want to shine a light on this anymore. If you guys want to go check them out, you can go check them out. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I know they're kind of butthurt because on Tuesday night I do a show at the same time they do theirs, and the truth of it is it's about a 70-30 split. About 70% of the reason I did the channel on that night was because of scheduling, and about 30% of the reason I did the channel at that night and time was because I was upset with them. So that's what I'll say about that. I don't believe I've hurt their viewership at all, and I don't believe they hurt mine because, like I said, everybody watches stuff on replays now. By this time tomorrow, we'll have a ton, and I mean probably 500 or 600 views. But a lot of people are doing stuff. A lot of my viewers are driving. They're working right now, and they watch it when they can. Some listen while they're driving. A lot of people binge watch me on the weekend. And so that's all I'm going to say about that. But I think I've said enough that I'm probably going to get talked to tomorrow. Somebody from the office will probably call me and tell me I stepped over the line. But anyway, you guys have a great night. I'll try to put out some recorded content if I can. And if not, I'll see you on Tuesday Trucker Talk at 5 p.m. Central. Y'all have a great night. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.